Okay, guys, so we are back into session, and now we have Dr. John Pels. He is presenting a workshop. So right now we have 6 workshops running in different areas. So we have one in here with John, who is a good friend of mine, an old colleague, though for a very short time, but still a colleague. Beowolf, the Ancient Warrior, Epic Poetry in the ESL Classroom. That's his topic today. Very interesting one, I must say. John is a teacher with a lot of experience in tertiary education and beyond, but limited at secondary level. Nevertheless, he's currently working as a high school teacher in Kuwait, utilizing his experience and skills gained as an undergraduate professor in order to teach grade 10 to 12 students. It's an amazing experience, isn't it? The floor is all yours, John. Actually, you're away from the mic, that's the thing. No, the thing is, John, there is a virtual attendees also. They might need a mic, that's the problem. And by the way, he's not sharing screen. He needs to share his screen. Can you go out and share the screen, please? Yes, please share that. No. Huh? You can see online? Yeah. Are you? John, you need to use the mic, either a handheld mic or this, because no problem, because the people would not be able to hear you, especially on the virtual.
Hello. Okay, thank you. So as you might be able to tell, I work at a secondary school in Mahbula in Kuwait. It's called International School of Kuwait, ISK. And I've been there for 6 months, 7 months, like that. Before I start though, I'd like to dedicate my presentation today to my wife. Okay. There's a reason for this. She says I have bad memory, so I might be using my notes today. I do occasionally forget some details, dates, names, things like that. But one thing I never, ever forget is when I first met her, she told me she was special and unique. Okay, so there's a reason for this. I'd like you to work together, speak to each other, because a big part of conferences like this is networking, right? So I'd like you to move away from your friends and colleagues, find somebody you don't know, you don't work with, and in 1 minute, tell them what makes you special and unique. Okay, there's not many of you here. Do you want me to split? No, you have to find someone you don't know. Tell them what makes you special and unique. Okay, yourself. Okay. Do you want me to find partners for you, or do you want to do that by yourselves? You do it. Okay. Ladies, don't be shy.
हेलो 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 आवाज आ रहा है थोड़ा ये कम कर दो उसका इको कैन यू गिव मी दिस माइक सो यू कैन जस्ट होल्ड दिस
Right inside.
Yeah, I'll just keep it there.
No, it's not a pocket there.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can just put in the. Yeah. Yeah, can you-
Yeah. Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me? The microphone on. Okay. Ladies, gentlemen, can you hear that okay? Okay. Can you turn that feedback on?
I'll just turn it here. So it will get. Okay. Can
Okay, so can I have your attention back again? So you've all spoken to each other a little bit, right? One of the first things as teachers we ask our students to do is to speak to each other, okay? And as some of you might realize, it's not always a comfortable thing. Speak to someone you don't know for the first time, and so on and so on. I'm going to ask for two things today, though, okay? The first, speak with each other. You've all got a new friend now. I encourage you to speak with each other while my presentation is going on. Do it quietly so you don't disturb each other, but speak with each other. If you've got questions for me, stop me and I'll answer questions, clarify points. Can you take just a second? There's too much feedback. Can you take off? Okay.
Then eco कम कर दो.
Can I have the microphone back?
बंद कर दो. ओके वो माइक चालू था इसके लिए हो रहा था शायद. हेलो ओके इको हो रहा है.
Okay, so phones away, out of sight, not even in your hand, okay? Okay, gonna go to slide one. I'm going to be talking today about my experiences of changing from tertiary education to secondary education at ISK, International School of Kuwait, discussing Beowolf, ancient hero. Okay, so with your new friend, what do you know about Beowulf and epic poetry? Okay, 1 minute with your new friend. What do you know about Beowulf or epic poetry? Remember, telephones away, please, out of sight. Okay. What do you know about Beowulf? Okay. What do we know? Hands up, please. What do we know about Beowulf? There's about 7 points there. Okay. So Beowulf is a hero, a legendary hero, fighting not his own mother, but the monster's mother, after the monster. What else do we know? In addition, yes, please. Yep, thank you. So from the past, recent past or distant past? Definitely. Heroes, battles, fighting, warfare. Next. Yes, it is. Okay. Well before. Yeah, thanks. Okay. What about the name Beowulf? What can you get from that? Okay. The name wolf. Where do wolves live? Yeah. Scandinavian countries, definitely in the wild. So what could we get from the name Beowulf? What does that suggest to you even if you've never heard of it before? Yeah. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. Okay. So you get something already, even if you think you know nothing. Can you notice as well, I elicited some information about Beowulf. Did I elicit any information about what makes you special and unique? No, not yet. And no, I'm not going to do that. Because even though I put you together to discuss what makes you special, what makes you unique, doesn't really add anything to the lesson. Whereas discussing Beowulf, discussing epic poetry does add a bit of value. All right? Okay, I'm going to go to my next slide. Objectives for today. There are 7. Did you notice how I didn't read to you as I was changing slides there? Death by PowerPoint. Read off of your PowerPoint slides. Yeah, there's no need for that. First objective. Find out about your students. This is one of the first, well, this is the first thing I had to do when I started at the new school. They were children, not adults, and I needed to find out about them. So I needed to find out about them. They needed to find out about me. I'd like you to speak with each other a bit more. Is everyone a teacher here? Everyone involved in education? Yeah, all of us or nearly all of us. Right, I would like you to discuss with each other what your role is in the classroom. How do you see yourself in the classroom? Okay, what do you do in the classroom? Yeah, 1 minute, talk with each other about that. Okay, thank you. What does it mean to actually teach someone something? Who teaches in the classroom? Can you put your hands up? Okay, sure. Who teaches in their classrooms? Hands up. Okay, this is a little bit of a trick question, actually. I could say that you know what? I don't think if someone wants to learn something, they're going to learn it. They don't need a teacher. Okay, think about things that you guys know how to do really well. Did you learn that at school? Maybe. Okay, so think about what you know how to do really well. Did you learn it at school? Did a teacher teach you how to do it? No. Okay. Yeah, at the back. Right. Yep. Yep. Right. You don't need a teacher. If you want to learn something, you will find a way. And kids are the same. Yes. Okay. Okay, I'm going to have to disagree with that then. Okay. I've got two little learners at home, and recently the one wanted to know all about Zambia. And she had she's interested in coding as well. Do any of you know what coding is? Yeah, I don't have the first idea, but never mind. She wanted to learn about coding. She wanted to learn about Zambia. She had the idea of somehow combining the two, and she made herself a little cartoon about a Zambian girl in a wheelchair, actually, explaining about the Zambian coat of arms without a teacher whatsoever. Okay? Use a bit of YouTube. There's a website, scratch.com. It's some coding software thing. Yeah. No, I don't. So, right. Okay, yep. But do you actually teach the kids stuff? Okay. Okay. Right. What is your role in the classroom? Okay. Okay. What do you facilitate? Okay. So you're a provider. Uh-huh. Right.
The way, the map
Okay.
that she will be following.
Yeah,
That's the point.
Does she need that map though?
Yes.
All the time? Okay, but not all the time. Okay. Yeah, I'd also like to counter that with another statement as well. If someone is not in the mood to learn something, you can be the best teacher in the world. Are you going to teach that person?
No.
Right.
In this case, the need.
Okay. Okay.
I think we can't treat all classrooms at the same way. As educators, we always try to cater for our students' needs. So I believe sometimes you could be a teacher, the source of knowledge, Sometimes you could be a facilitator because of the access to that data now is available. So I believe it depends on the context that we're teaching in.
Okay. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay. But there are lots of roles for us to play in the classroom. Yeah. Yes, please.
The website, they were made by teachers. So I think the teacher exists and she or he, they're necessary to facilitate or to teach in one way or another. So I meant the YouTube videos are made by teachers, and the articles, what to say, and the websites, they're all made by teachers. So the teacher exists and the role of the teacher exists as well. And it plays an important role in the education process, the learning process.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm going to move on. By the way, if any of you know any good ways to get 9-year-old girls to want to read in Arabic, please speak to me after today's session. All right. Textbooks. What do you think about teaching the textbook as a curriculum? Yes or no? Okay. It's not, is it? Okay. Yeah. 20% of the curriculum. Maybe a bit more. Are any of us teaching at places where actually the textbook is the curriculum? You've been told this is what to teach. I can't do much to help you guys, but when I started at the school, they gave me a great big textbook, 700 pages. Like this. I thought, what am I going to do with this? Because I've got 700 pages, a group of kids, 3 times a week for what, 25 weeks, something like that. What's the first issue with having a textbook as the curriculum? Right. Yeah. Yes.
Because it's just, as you said, it's not a curriculum, but you feel you're limited because you want your students just to do this.
Mhm.
So I don't agree to use it as a curriculum. It's just a material or a resource to frame what the kids learn. It's something to put their knowledge. That's it.
Yes. Let me change slides.
I just want to add something. I think it limits creativity. So
I think it does as well. So fortunately, I was able to use the textbook as I wanted to use it. Okay? I wasn't told you must use the resource, you must use this textbook. This is what you teach. So I was really fortunate in that. I was given a textbook and my line manager said, here's the textbook that we use here in the school, but don't depend on it. I was quite lucky with that. Another thing is there's just too much in the book, way too much, which in one hand is a good thing, but if we are expected to teach all of the book, it's, you're rushing through this, rushing through that, gets to the next page, whether the kids are ready or not. So if you're in a position like I am to just use the textbook as a resource and supplement it, be creative, then it's a good thing. Another thing is that it doesn't always fit with the student needs or interests. First thing when I got to know my students, what do you like about English? Oh, well, we like stories, we like reading sometimes. How many of them do you think said, yeah, we love poetry? 15, 16-year-old boys admitting to liking poetry. No, not many. Okay, not one. 0. One young lady said, oh, I kind of like poetry a bit, but question? Okay. Right.
Exactly.
Not sure what you're talking about there, hello, but never mind. But yeah, so that was a bit of a challenge, getting the children to want to know about epic poetry. But I asked them, do you know what Game of Thrones is? Hands up, all of them. Okay, especially kids in my class as well. One or two of them knew Lord of the Rings, and you might know this, you might not. Beowulf is a direct influencer of both of those stories. So as soon as I said that, oh yeah, Beowulf has influenced these modern writers, well, that interested them a bit. But still, poetry, it wasn't they weren't that keen to start with, let's say. But never mind, I moved on. I didn't start reading with the students straight away. I did what a lot of us do now if you want to learn something new, YouTube. Hopefully this will work. I'm not going to show you the whole of this video, but it will give you an idea. Can I run that? Yeah. Just going to watch a little bit of this.
I think we should explore.
Myths are not stories that are untrue. Rather, they are tales that don't fit neatly into the historical record, which serve as a foundation to a culture. Under the twinkling stars of the vast night sky, beneath the roof of a great mead hall, a mouse nibbles on crumbs as the last coals in the hearth flicker out. Dozens of men are inside, asleep on the floors and benches after a long night of revelry. They don't hear the ferocious creature stealthily making its way within. Then swiftly, without a sound, the beast covers the mouth of a sleeping thane, blocking his screams before devouring him. The monster then snatches not one more or two more, but 30 more of them, killing them quietly in their sleep. Then, finally amused and sated, it lumbers back to its lair. In the morning, as the bird
Okay. So that's the story of Beowulf. I checked before I showed this horror story. I got to know them a little bit, and they were fine with this sort of material. But I didn't start reading this epic poetry straight from the book. I didn't start with the first class, open your books to page 415. We started with YouTube. And as we mentioned a few minutes ago, Beowulf's story is a story of 3 main battles. And that was the first battle, Beowulf versus Grendel. And there are 2 more afterwards. And we watched 3 short video clips, about 8 or 9 minutes, but we watched them. Why did I do that? To prepare the students for the real hard work. And this goes into my objective 3 there. Have students speak and listen to each other. Quick show of hands. How many of you guys have a student-centered classroom? If you can, if you have the ability. Student-centered classroom. And I'd like you to speak to each other a bit more now. What does that actually mean? What is a student-centered classroom? How do you create a student-centered classroom? Okay, speak. Okay, so student-centered classroom. How do we create a student-centered classroom? Yeah, please. Yep.
To give opinions, and also, as you said, showing them video on YouTube. For me, for example, I taught them a story. It's called Into Thin Air. It talks about the Mount Everest, and there is a movie about this story called the Everest. So I showed them some clips of this movie. So because my students, they like movies a lot. So I can make the class more interesting, and also maybe using PowerPoint games. There are many resources for English
How does
games.
that make it student-centered though? Is student-centered the same as interesting?
I think, yeah, because you can make them more excited. You can make them love the English material, let's say.
Okay, thank you. Next idea. How do we make a classroom student-centered? Yes, Miss.
Sometimes I have them explain the lesson, like they're the teachers, and create quizzes, and they test each other. So this group creates a quiz, they give it to the other group. Same with the other group. So we've got 4 or 5 quizzes shared in the class. They're the teachers, they do it themselves. I overlook this, of course.
Okay, thank you. Good. Next.
Perhaps just provide them or teaching them the skills to manage their own classes depending on their abilities. So, for example, I can share with them materials and then teach them how to deal with it. If they are getting better, they can select the materials.
Mhm.
So, creating this sense of learner autonomy
Mhm.
for them to take charge.
Okay. With me, in my experience, it's not about me providing them materials. I did here, but you know what? Another student found a better way of doing that. My way took about 26, 27 minutes. A different student found a different video. He wrapped up the whole thing in 10 minutes. It was better than what I did. Okay. So student-centered for me means not always me providing the material. If the student can do something better, then let them take over. I think another thing, freedom. A gentleman mentioned that. Freedom is quite important for all of us, isn't it? Okay. So one of the things that I always tell students, if they want to disagree with me, fine. I don't need everyone to agree with me all the time. If they can justify their disagreement, I'm fine with that. Another thing, I always teach them a phrase, it's confidential. Just because we're teachers, I don't believe that gives us the right to invade our students' privacy. If they're doing something which is confidential, that's fine. That's fine with me. So I teach them if they don't want to share something with me or the others, they need to be polite and respectful. A phrase that's confidential, that does it for me. Okay. So student-centered classroom. It's critical, I think. None of us, I believe, none of us likes to be lectured to day in, day out. Okay. If any of us do, it's okay because freedom is important, but I don't want to put my students in a position that I wouldn't want to be in. So think about how your classrooms could become that more student-centered. Question?
Yes, I have a question, please. Now, if a classroom of students does not want to learn, and you're the teacher, and you want, even though you tried for 2 quarters to try to let them learn, they just don't want to, they're irresponsible, you may say. And I was thinking of making my way of teaching a teacher-based kind of approach, so that I just teach them, and whoever wants to learn, okay, they just learn. And whoever doesn't want to learn, that's their choice at the end of the day. So what do you think of this? Is it a good way to teach, or if they're difficult students?
I think we're always going to have students who don't want to learn, regardless.
what I do is make them accountable. And when we chose Beowolf, it was we chose it. Okay, so we discussed. I gave them the book. They looked through the book. Together, we came up. Well, let's have a go at Beowolf. And then a couple of sessions in, they cannot turn around and say, "Oh, not interested in Beowolf," because I can turn around and say, "Well, you chose it." You know, and that's what accountability. If students are accountable for their learning, I find that not all of them all the time want to learn, but it helps out with that.
How about if the curriculum is chosen by the school, by the administrators, and there is no choice given to the students, and they hate the text and they don't want to learn? What do I do in this case?
Can anyone answer that? Because I don't think I can. Quit the school. It's a tough one. I don't know. Modify? Yeah. Yeah. And then your boss comes and asks, why are you modifying my curriculum? Yeah. Yeah. That's it. I had a textbook and I was told use this textbook, but I was also asked or offered the chance to modify it a bit as well, which I did by having the students involved in the choice of material. And yeah, but if I'm told that's my curriculum, teach that, I think I would suffer actually. Question behind.
Hello. That brings a question to my mind where does it stop for us catering for student needs? Because at some point we need to challenge them to achieve educational growth. And catering for them, I think it puts them down rather than lifting them up. That's my opinion. Because like there is also a limit to that. So what I try in my class to do is to consistently keep on challenging my students rather than always going down to the level, because in the end we have a goal to achieve, which is bringing them up there to that level. There might be some challenging in terms of linguistic challenging, like if we are having a class in English but they can't talk English, so we can modify and adjust the class accordingly to their needs in this department. But for the material, I think we have to keep on sticking of things that are challenging them, rather than making it easier and easier and easier. I can relate that to going to the gym. If you keep on lifting light weights, you're not going to achieve any muscle mass. So yeah, thank you. That's just an idea I wanted to share. And also my question, going back to it, where does it stop? If you have something to add up on that. Thank you.
I agree with that. I didn't really catch the question though.
Where does it stop? Catering to student needs. Where do we stop? That's a question.
Never stop. I think we can always keep learning.
It should have some limitations. That's a thing that I think. So in your opinion, because I just stated my opinion, I just want to hear your opinion about it.
No, I think we should always, without limitation, try and push our students.
But can you achieve growth though? Can you reach that level that you want? Because I understand that all students are different and we're trying to achieve equality among students educationally. But at the same time, if we are going to really do that, we should cater to their own goals in life. Like, for example, if they want to study aviation in college, then they shouldn't be taking chemistry and other history. They should be taking other subjects like geography, math, physics. This is the real actual catering to the students' needs.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I basically, I think was trying to say that they are really not motivated so much generally. And how can we get them to be motivated so they can come to some level so they can reach their goals, basically, outcomes.
Increasing motivation. Yeah. Allow them freedom, allow them into the decision-making process. Yeah. Yeah. I've got a couple of other slides which I'd like to get through, which might help to answer that. My next point. Fourth objective is collaborating. For sure, we need to know our subject. Okay, I'm an English teacher.
I need to know English language. I need to be able to teach grammar, vocabulary, skills, reading, writing, listening, speaking, whatever. But collaborate. We can collaborate with our colleagues like this. We can collaborate with our colleagues at work, but also there's an absolute ton of stuff online now. There are lots of dedicated teachers. Maybe we are among them. We've put our lessons online. We've provided our lessons online. Why not use that as well? Let me show you what I did during the first sessions of Beowolf. We're going to have a Grammarly advert.
Grammarly is a digital writing assistant that helps you with everything from vocabulary and clarity, and honestly,
Beowulf is one of the most important works of Old English literature. It has influenced many contemporary fantasy works, such as the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and it has truly stood the test of time and delighted readers the world over. Beowulf was originally created by an anonymous poet. Scholars are at odds regarding
Okay, I'm not a classics specialist. I'm not a scholar of medieval text, but online there are people who are classic specialists. Let's use them, okay? Again, I'm not saying that we don't need to know our subject, because we do, but we can also collaborate with each other. We can collaborate with professionals online to increase that knowledge. Regardless of what our subject is, we can always supplement that with each other and with online professionals as well. Also, I think kids are going to be a bit more interested as well. If it's on video, they seem to be more interested than if it's a real person like us. Next point, we were now ready to start reading the book. The kids have watched a couple of videos about Beowulf, so they know the story. They've watched a professional classic scholar introducing us to Beowulf, so they know a bit about the story. They know a bit about what epic poetry is. In other words, they're prepared now to read the story. But still, I was supplementing it with online resources. You all remember COVID-19? How we all had to start doing hybrid lessons and online lessons? What fun that was. Okay, study from Facebook. Whoa, what about teaching? Can you all remember what fun that was, teaching online? I don't think it was much fun for anyone, but who didn't learn a ton of stuff during that period? Okay, yeah, who didn't learn a lot of stuff about teaching or learning during that time? It wasn't very pleasant, but I think we all learned. We learned something. I didn't want to learn what YouTube was, but I learned what Canva was from one of my students. Okay, I don't want to go through Canva with you now because it would take the rest of the session and the rest of the day. It is an excellent website. Okay, canva.com. You don't need a screenshot to remember that. Canva.com. Yeah, okay. Have you all got experience of canva.com? Yeah, okay. In that case, I don't need to go through it with you. But rather than get the textbook out, read the story, answer the comprehension questions, write the essay from the book, I didn't do that. We read the story, and then we used Canva to do two new things. Yeah, two new things. We the students created an infographic, timeline infographic about Beowulf. They knew the story, the 3 battles, Beowulf arriving at the hall, fighting the dragon at the end of the story. And also they did a talking presentation, which Canva offers. It's a bit like PowerPoint, but with a digital presentation inserted. And the kids liked it. They liked to do it. They wanted to do it. Right? They were motivated to use Canva. I don't think they would have been so motivated to write a 2,000-word essay analyzing the story. Okay, but still they got into the story. They wanted to read it because they wanted to make a nice Canva presentation. And that leads me to my penultimate slide. Variety of assessment tools. Some kids will be good at writing and they'll like writing. And if you provide them with essay, they will succeed. But what about the kids that don't like writing? They can still succeed if we give them a variety of assessment tools, including writing, but in addition, speaking, in addition, drawing, artwork, things like that. And that's what I had the chance to do as well, provide a variety of assessment tools. If that's the objective, then that's the objective, if it's a writing class. But my objective was to teach Beowulf. And for the kids who like writing, they could write essays. But for the kids that didn't, they want to speak about Beowulf, then I had that chance to offer that with them as well. Yes, yeah, they did, because they were using the same source material, but they didn't show their knowledge in the same way. Okay, some of them excelled in essay writing, some of them excelled in standing up speaking, some of them didn't do either. They excelled in this kind of digital recorded presentation. Okay, but I was lucky to have the chance to provide a variety of assessment. Also, I think if we can give a chance to record a presentation, it helps those that are a bit nervous about presenting, standing up in front of a crowd like that. So I was able to do that as well. In Canva, you can record your presentation, quite simple, it's quite easy to do. Submit the presentation with me, the teacher, and I could assess it like that. Okay, removes quite a lot of the nervous disposition. Last chance. And I think this kind of underlies a lot of the other objectives is allow student choice. If we're given the chance, give the students the choice to learn sometimes, choice to show what they've learned as well. What time is it, please? I don't have a watch. Is it time to finish? Yeah, I know. Thank you. Okay. We can put our phones away again. Yeah, she has mobile. Smartwatch. When it comes to exams, we're close about that. Okay. Last slide. Any questions?
So Beowulf, they could act it out.
For sure.
That'd be really fun.
Yep.
I think that would get them really engaged.
Yeah,
Did you do that?
no, I didn't.
Why not? You could be Beowulf.
Drama isn't my strong suit. I'm a reader and a writer. Okay. But I think it's that, yeah. Well, next year. Okay. I'll ask Albert to come and co-teach with me.
Sometimes I show like a video of a teacher teaching something of the material that I'm giving, but some students may criticize me by saying, you are the teacher, why aren't you teaching? Why do you show a video of someone teaching? So like, how can we like replay for these kind of criticisms?
I think you give them, tell them they've got a bonus. Who has the answer to that question? Oh, okay. Don't show them the video.
All right. No. I mean, because it depends on the age of your student that you're teaching. And I do believe they are like high graders. You can answer that you saw me teaching you and you saw my abilities. You may understand, you may not, but this is another version of a teacher who's teaching you differently. So I just want to be sure that you're getting the best of myself and the other teacher on the video. So you can be smart to get out, take it the other way along. You know what I mean? All right, thanks. Exactly. That's it, the bonus extra teacher.
Thank you. Another question.
Where we have students who don't want to learn, students who don't want to write. And I was telling Anwar that the biggest challenge for my students is to ask them to read one paragraph and to respond on writing. But to some extent, what can be effective with some of them, is using these, what we refer to as very controversial topic for them, like a very common topic when I was talking, for example, about argumentative writing. So I teach the boys and ask them about polygamy. And then they start to negotiate and to do everything in the class and to discuss, and they can seek argument, counter argument, refutation and everything. Yeah. And then I go to the girls' side in the afternoon and talk about polygamy, right? And then we have got a totally different point of view where there is all the elements of argument. So I end up the class telling them what we have been doing is argumentative, but you are doing it verbally in way of debate. So it can be now in writing. But then when we ask them to write, they write nothing again. Okay.
And it has
despite of all the efforts.
It's meaningful, isn't it?
Polygamy, تعدد الزوجات, which is so much argument about even two different points of view. When you are asking the girls, the male students and the female students about their point of view, right? And they ended up, this is the thing, they ended up very much getting engaged in the topic, not because this topic is very controversial in the culture, but because they start to speak in Arabic. So they start to talk about verses from the Holy Book, and they start to talk about the Prophet Muhammad life. And then all of this argument started because they put their first language, because they put their culture, because the topic is very controversial, and because I created for them an imaginary character called Uwais. I made them understood, don't tell this secret to my student, that Uwais is a student who's always against that point of view. So I take the role of Uwais. Okay, and everybody else is against me because Uwais is against polygamy, while everybody in the boys' side is with polygamy. So this imaginary figure is created in my class. Only at the end of the semester, I tell them that he's not a student here.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
so they think throughout the whole semester that he's a student, and I keep mentioning always thinking that he's one of my students in the previous semester, but he's not. At the end, I just created that figure. It's an imaginary one, and I change the name of always every semester. So the students who know me in the university, they know that I'm not lying. You know, I'm telling them the truth. I have bad reputation.
Thank you.
There's a question.
Yeah, Mohammed.
I believe this approach might increase student involvement, but at the same time, we're distribution power across the classroom. And if I am a new teacher or someone who's teaching poetry for the first time, it might be intimidating. There is a way for teachers to have something to support them to be able to be competent in such classrooms.
What's your question?
So if I'm a new teacher and there's approach where I'm going to get students to be involved, that might be intimidating for me.
Yes.
So if there's something I can do to myself as a teacher,
Yeah.
to be able to be.
Yeah, that's easy. Do the job for about 20 years. No problem. Yeah,
enough.
new teachers, yeah, I think experience is maybe not the only thing that could help, but it's for sure things get easier over time. And knowing your material as well, preparation. Yeah, prepare, practice, and have it up there in the mind. Okay. Yeah, it's easier said than done getting all that experience. Okay. Okay. I'm going to finish there for today. Thank you very much for attending. And I'll be here I'm going to stay here if any of you want to talk a bit more, or I'll be around. I'll leave my slides there if you're desperate to take screenshots and talk a bit more. Yeah, of course. Okay, thank you.